Hello and welcome.
Good evening.
My name is Alex and we'll talk about Wildcard draft. We'll talk about the players that you want to stack up if you are not playing Wildcard in 30, and about my disaster class. I'm the early adopter of the Wildcard. I played it in 29, obviously understanding the dangers, the hazards that I'm about to face with the international break and the cup games. And not only that, it's just like my players just flopped, most of them, like obviously Wolves defenders in particular. I let Arsenal players go from my team. I was tripling up on Arsenal defense twice this season. They conceded to three of the worst teams in the league. And now finally they kept a clean sheet when I sold them. So there is a pattern there. And I'm happy for others who still have Gabriel and Raya in their team and they're free of the shackles of being owned by me. And now they can finally earn points. FPL points, very nice. But look, I already made a transfer and I recognize my mistake. There are 5 teams that will be doubling. And of course, this is Ben Krellin's planner. On his Twitter, you can check him out at Ben Krellin. We already know previously it is established that at least 2 teams, or not at least, only 2 teams are going to be doubling in Gameweek 32, and these are Crystal Palace and Newcastle. And then after that, it is most likely that we're going to be seeing rescheduling of these doubles in 33 for teams like Crystal Palace again. There is Man City apparently going to be doubling, Aston Villa, Arsenal, and there is a potential for Forest and Brentford. I'm not sure if Forest and Brentford happening. So the teams are Aston Villa, Arsenal, City, Palace, and Newcastle. And let's take a look at Aston Villa players, which doubles for them are not happening before 33. So there is at least 3 game weeks. You can save 3 transfers. And I wouldn't necessarily say that they're essential. Yes, as you have seen previously in the game against Preston, Rashford took the penalty. Ollie Watkins wasn't on the pitch, but maybe if Rashford was so confident, and Rashford, I think, is going to be now on top of that food chain of taking penalties. So most likely we'll see Rashford getting some points in this double, or maybe in the next 2 game weeks. So for me, Rashford is a yes. But I wouldn't necessarily be buying him right now. I wouldn't necessarily be betting on Asensio, since he's not on penalties. He can still be a differential, extreme differential, and deliver, but it's more about like gambling in this regard. For me, Ollie Watkins is not really worth it. Obviously, he has been delivering a lot of points, and people who had him instead of the likes of Wood at some points in some patches of the season when Wood wasn't delivering, got a lot of points there. But I think that Watkins currently is a little bit out of form. And I would still prefer getting Rashford as an attacking asset from Villa. Speaking of defenders, there is a double, and if matches are being played very close to each other, there's a likelihood of the type of players like Digne who are running down the wing and obviously are getting tired very quickly, either getting limited minutes in both games or not starting in one of the games. So it's going to be Madsen, for instance, instead of Digne. So that's where you probably are running the risk of like not even having a player who plays both games. And that's where Konsa probably is the best pick as a center back. And then, of course, the goalkeeper, hands down, Martinez, is probably one of those players that I would like to have on my wildcard too. Speaking about other midfielders, there's obviously Rodgers. And it seems to me like Rodgers is going to be playing like more like a playmaker role. And I would prefer my attackers, my midfielders especially, to score goals. But I think Rodgers, if you're on tight budget, I don't remember the exact difference between the prices, but it feels like Rodgers is cheaper. But at the same time, I think it's your preference. You have at least 2 game weeks to spectate and to see how they will perform. You don't necessarily need to get the Aston Villa players right now. And then depending on who is on a hot form, you can get that player. For Arsenal, obviously, there is a rumor that Arsenal are keeping clean sheet in the Premier League. And yeah, they did indeed keep a clean sheet against Chelsea, but Chelsea were never going to score in that game. And if they're facing a team that is pretty open, they will score some goals. They most likely win a game against Fulham. But will they keep a clean sheet? Most likely, yes, now that given that I sold them. But if you talk about defenders, obviously it's Gabriel. You probably would want to get him. Timber is a little bit of a risk because Ben White at any point can take his place. But most likely Timber is also a good pick for me. And then, of course, Raya is a good goalkeeper, but I think about tripling up on Arsenal, whereas I want to get Saka, and it looks like Saka is fit. And Saka is a must for me for the exact doubles. I'm not going to be getting him right now for Fulham because you don't really know. that if he's gonna be starting in that game. But if you really like have that gut feeling that he's gonna be delivering you points in that game, then there's a little bit of okayish fixtures, and then there's a double. So for me, Saka is a yes. For City players, now that Haaland was seen on crutches, it looks like it's a big no. You probably don't want to get him in your team. Instead, Marmoush looks like is him. He just substituted Haaland in the cup game and scored a goal. Marmoush, of course, is a very direct player, very smart player, very high footballing IQ. I really like watching him. Liked watching him in the Bundesliga and obviously in the Premier League. I think feels like he's adapting pretty well. So I would be playing Marmoush as my striker. And then in the middle, I would say it is pretty tricky because if there's a double, most likely this player's going to be rotated a lot. And by the time the double actually occurs, most likely Haaland is actually recovering. So that Marmoush punt can be just like 1, 2, 3 weeks punt. You don't really expect him to feature in all of the games up until Gameweek 33, for instance. So that's where it becomes a little bit trickier, but it becomes a little bit more difficult, in my opinion, with the midfielders, because we've seen Foden hooked in the cup game, no impact on the game whatsoever. We've seen Savinho as well, like not featuring because he was attending, I think he had a child birth type of a situation there. He had to attend. Yeah, so there's some players to punt, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it is a sure guaranteed player going to be delivering points. On the other hand, in defense, I would stress that it's actually a good idea to get Guardiola. Man City are not well known for getting for keeping clean sheets either, and it looks like they're going to be conceding in all games bar Leicester, but they can easily concede even against Leicester. Just Guardiola just pops up in the box so often, and he's one of the most attacking defenders in the league, so you probably expect him to deliver you a return. And now talking about Palace, and this is the most exciting team, I would say, and I already committed to getting Mateta. I watched that cup game. Mateta was wearing that protective thingy on his head, a type of a mask, and it looks like he wasn't really... I mean, I know myself, I broke my nose, and I was like very unsure playing futsal. I'm obviously a goalkeeper, going into like 1v1s for the first like 1 or 2 weeks. They're playing against very easy opposition, but obviously he would have preferred to play free of this mask and like free of this fear of another like impact injury or whatnot. And it was terrifying the way the studs landed on his head of this goalkeeper. I mean, that's actually something that psychologically you need to go through it. And look, they played against Fulham. He wasn't really necessarily involved into the goals, but I don't know. I feel like it will take him some time to recover. So not getting Mateta right now probably is not the worst thing ever. Although I bought him. Picking about other attackers, there's Sar and Eze. And I think it's all about toss of a coin. Eze feels like he's in hot form as well. He just scored in the cup game. But Sar as well. Notice how often against Fulham he was either assisting to a pre-assister who was Munoz, and then he was assisting himself, trying to assist, put the ball in the box. And he, of course, is capable of finishing chances himself. It just Eze likes to pop a long shot and it goes in. The XG of these chances are low, but still, I think it's your preference. Both players are good for me. Speaking about defenders, all the center backs for me are no, but when I talk about a right back, I would say Crystal Palace are not going to be keeping a lot of clean sheets, maybe, but at least we will see some attacking returns, hopefully, from Munoz, who is absolutely brilliant for his national team and has been delivering a lot of points for their FPL owners in the fantasy this season. Lots of assists, even goals as well, and he isn't shy on forming some fake shots and some feeds into like a near post, like a very, very powerful shot, which is a deceiving technique because goalkeepers pretty much expect him to cross all the time. So this is just a gem of a player, and I wouldn't necessarily... I would say that, yes, they will have tough fixtures, but at the same time, it feels like you should definitely get Munoz in your team just for the sheer attacking prowess. And finally, Newcastle. For Newcastle, there's a little bit... It's tricky because Gordon apparently looks like he picked up again an injury. So no midfielder apart from Murphy probably would be of interest for you. And then it could be only a placeholder for Saka or for Rashford in the future because you don't know how much minutes he's going to be getting. Is Newcastle going to be carrying in the same fashion? Are they in the hangover state after winning the Carabao Cup. So that's where I think you need to focus on getting Isak, unless you already have him. And for defenders, I think Livramento is where the value at. Obviously, you can get Trippier. He's pretty expensive. Looks like he's going to be playing till the end of the season. He's the captain. He's taking the free kicks. He's taking the corner kicks. So that could be a good option for you. Yes, Trippier. Maybe if I have enough money, I might just consider going for Trippier. And then Livramento is another option. So both would be a go for me. Dan Burn for the corner. Yeah, that's also a go for my liking. And then this is how the wildcard looks. So there are so many iterations of the wildcards. I think that makes sense from my standpoint, where you're tripling up on all the important players from the doubles, except for City, which is kind of tricky because it looks like Arteta can still at any point replace Ederson, and it could be either Ederson or Arteta in goal. But there we go. It's Pope for me in goal right now. Munoz as a center back. Timber and Gabriel pairing that probably will deliver you some points in the next few game weeks for sure. Guardiola. In the middle we have Kluivert, Salah and Sarr. And then obviously you can go for Eze, I think. I still have enough of money to go for Eze. You have Mateta, Marmoush and Isak. And I'm not tripling up on Newcastle attack. I'm doubling up on their defense, in fact. Just so that I can have Saka, just like a very, very intricate combination, just because you need to have a double goalkeeper over here for a bench boost. If you're not planning to bench boost, and like me, you have assistant manager chip, then you can go with, obviously, the rest of the players is Saka, Livramento and Rashford. You can go for Murphy still, right? And the other goalkeeper could be someone who is playing an easy fixtures this game week, so it could be Alisson. I can easily go for Alisson. Just keep in mind that whoever you're going to be selling, you should have enough of cash to get yourself Saka. Obviously, that's a lot of money on goalkeepers, right? So Martinez and Alisson. So this could be any other goalkeeper. It could be even Jose Sa, right? Sa is very cheap, and he's playing West Ham at home. There is a possibility of him keeping a clean sheet, although I don't believe that will happen. Yeah, so this could be a variation of that. So if you are depending on your strategies, so many people have still assistant manager chip left, like me, and they will probably not going to be using the bench boost in 33, for instance, because most likely they're playing this assistant manager 31, 32, 33, and you cannot use the same two chips in the same game week. And yeah, so this is pretty strong, in my opinion. You're tripling up on players that are about to double or doubling, like in the game week 32, 33, 34. And you're already preparing yourself for the Villa triple up as well. So you can easily go for Watkins if you want, although I wouldn't go there. And you can do something else. This team requires a free hit, because most of these teams, if the doubles fall exactly how we expect them to, most of these will blank in Gameweek 34. And Crystal Palace, City, Villa and Arsenal. And look at your team. You are in a position where it looks like you already have like half of your team blanking, even more than this. I'm not necessarily in this position. So I played my wildcard earlier. And if I'm picking my team, I can go for the route of trying to stretch and maybe even take hits to get, I don't know, more Newcastle players, more Arsenal players, which I will. I just think that my team is pretty strong for this game week. I will keep them as is. Most likely it's going to be Haaland for Marmoush though. So that has been the video. It is a long one. I tried to experiment and add a little bit of like my opinion, my take on the players. I'm already like a living differential here with this wildcard, kind of flopped. But at the same time, my team is not going to be looking like everyone else's. And if the doubles, which are very difficult, are going to be backfiring, right? So you're not going to be getting a lot of points from your like Crystal Palace players, whatnot. I still have two of them, but at the same time, I can diversify into like having the likes of Kluivert or Elanga against Everton, which I think are great fixtures still, and obviously Minta against Leicester. So I don't necessarily need to get these doublers in my team. Although mathematically they are supposed to give you more points. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next. Peace.